There was a generation that came home, unlocked the door with a key hanging around their neck, made their own snack, and figured out the rest of the afternoon. They argued on the playground without adult referees. They made up the rules for games no adult had invented. They learned to read faces, not screens. They were Generation X. Born roughly 1965 to 1980, the latchkey kids, the last large group of American children raised with long stretches of unsupervised time as the normal way of growing up. Today, a lot of elementary kids struggle with something those Gen X kids took for granted: the simple ability to engage with another person in real life. Eye contact, reading a room, sitting in boredom without a device, solving a disagreement without an adult, a teacher, or an algorithm stepping in. This is not about hating younger people. It is about what childhood used to train and what it no longer trains. If you stand on a playground now and watch, you can feel the difference. Some kids still run, shout, and negotiate. Too many sit, too many wait to be organized. Too many look down. The social muscle that used to get built every day after school is getting less work. This series is the story of how that happened. We will walk through the generations, one after another. We will spend the most time on Generation X, because that is where the last stretch of everyday independence lived. And we will look at why so many people who grew up that way still argue that Gen X was the most stable, resourceful, and practically intelligent generation America has produced. Not the loudest, not the most praised, the one that learned how to function when nobody was watching. Every generation is shaped by the childhood it was given. Before we talk about what went wrong, we have to tell the truth about what came first. The silent generation grew up in depression and war. Money was tight, duty mattered. Parents were authority first, and friends almost never. Children were expected to contribute, keep quiet, and stay in line. That produced toughness. It also produced a lot of people who did not talk about feelings because nobody asked. Then came the baby boomers. They arrived into post-war prosperity, suburbs, television, rising expectations. They were the first mass-market childhood generation. Many of them later became the dual-income, achievement-focused parents of the next cohort. They emphasized school, structure, competition, and getting ahead. Some of the earliest helicopter habits started here, not because they were weak, because they believed more management would create more success. Generation X absorbed the consequences of that world. Divorce rates climbed. Mothers entered the workforce in large numbers. Daycare was not yet the default. After school, a lot of houses were empty. Kids got a key, a set of rules, and a time to be home. Millennials got the correction. Their parents looked at unsupervised childhood and decided it was too risky, too lonely, or too sloppy. So they supervised more, they scheduled more, they praised more. Technology moved from a tool in the corner to a companion in the hand. Generation Z and Generation Alpha inherited the full digital childhood. Screens from toddlerhood. Less roaming, more adult-managed time. Friendship happening through a device as much as on a porch or a street. The pattern is simple. We moved from independence toward management. From free play toward structured activity and digital substitutes. Each generation thought it was protecting children. Each generation also removed a little more practice at being human with other humans. The evolution continues with each of us. How will we shape the next childhood for the generations to come? This is the heart of it. Generation X did not get a gentle childhood. They got an unsupervised one. They came home to quiet houses, they heated their own dinners, they finished homework without someone hovering at the table. They fought with siblings and neighbors and had to come back from it. The rule in 1,000 neighborhoods was the same: be home when the streetlights came on. That was not a parenting philosophy with a hashtag. It was logistics. 2 working parents, single mothers, longer workdays, not enough adults in the room. So the kids became the adults in the room for a few hours every day. They learned the small skills that later looked like character: how to make a sandwich, how to stay in the house without burning it down, how to occupy yourself, how to call a friend on a wall phone and actually talk, how to ride a bike to somebody's house without a tracking app. They also learned the harder skills: how to handle being scared without an adult immediately arriving, how to tell the difference between a real problem and a dramatic one, how to keep a secret from your parents because the afternoon belonged to you. People now look back and say it was unsafe. In some ways it was. There were empty houses, older kids with bad ideas, and no cell phones. There were also miles of ordinary afternoons where children practiced competence because they had no other choice. That is the piece later generations have trouble seeing. Independence was not a reward for being good. It was the water they swam in. And swimming in it every day is how you get strong. Why do so many people still call Generation X the most stable? Because their childhood produced a certain kind of adult. Self-reliance became a habit. They bridged analog and digital, treating technology as a tool rather than the air they breathe. They have a work ethic without an audience, doing the effort when nobody was home to clap. Today, they are the ones holding the middle together. Aging parents on one side, kids on the other. Call it the last generation that was left alone long enough to become capable. They are the bridge holding the middle together, truly capable. Generation X, the silent engine of stability. Then Generation X had children, and the story got complicated. A lot of them did not want to disappear the way some of their parents had. They remembered the empty house. They remembered the loneliness along with the freedom. So they tried to be more present, more emotionally available, more involved at school. The better version of that is not helicopter parenting. It is what some people later called stealth fighter parenting. You stay close enough to help. You do not swoop in for every scrape, every grade, every social slight. The ideal Gen X parent says, "I love you," and no, you cannot have the world rearranged around your comfort. They want kids who can make a lunch, talk to a coach, and handle being bored. But the culture around them changed, neighborhoods emptied. Fear of strangers grew faster than the actual risk in many places. Sports became year-round. School became more test-driven. Then the phone arrived. And the outdoor afternoon had a competitor that never got tired. Some Gen X parents held the line. Some overcorrected. They gave their kids the attention they wished they had. And in doing so, they also gave them less of the independence that had made them strong. That is the fork in the road. The same generation that learned to raise itself had to decide whether to let its own children raise themselves even a little. Many could not. The world no longer felt built for kids on bikes until dark, so the strengths of Gen X did not automatically transfer. Skills only transfer if the next childhood still requires them.
Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. Will you stand above me? Look my way, never love me. Rain keeps falling. 'Cause nothing comes
After Generation X, the parenting goal quietly changed. Millennial parents often made emotional presence the center of the job. Talk it out, name the feeling. Protect the child from shame, from boredom, from the kind of hard social lesson that used to happen in a backyard and stay in a backyard. A lot of that came from love. A lot of it came from wanting to break a colder cycle. The cost was less friction, less unsupervised practice, more adult narration of a child's inner life. Generation Z grew up inside that shift and inside the phone. They are more fluent in mental health language. They are also more anxious, more scheduled, and more digitally socially trained than face-to-face. Many of them now becoming parents are trying to mix warmth with firmer rules because they can feel what was missing. Generation Alpha is the first cohort that does not remember a world before tablets. For a lot of them, a screen is not an after-school treat. It is furniture. It is a babysitter. It is a playground. It is a friend. None of this means these kids are bad. It means their practice field changed. You cannot get good at reading a face if most of your social hours are spent looking at a face that is 2 inches tall and already filtered. By the time we get to elementary school now, the difference is not mystery. It is hours. Hours of free play gone. Hours of adult management added. Hours of screens standing in for other children. The downhill part is not a moral collapse. It is a training collapse. If you want one measurement of the decline, start with play. Unstructured free play is how children learn the social rules nobody writes down. Who is being fair? How to get into a game, how to get over being left out, how to invent something when you are bored. That time shrank. One major American time use comparison found that between 1981 and 1997, children ages 6 to 8 lost about a quarter of their playtime. Conversation at home dropped even harder. The outdoor, unsupervised version kept falling after that. School did the same thing. Recess got cut in the name of test scores. By later years, many elementary schools were down around 27 minutes of recess a day. Some had almost none. Childhood started looking like a workday. Parents report the same change at home. Fewer kids roam the neighborhood. Fewer are allowed down the street. Fewer walk to a friend's house. Fear, traffic, liability, and the simple convenience of a device all pulled kids inside. The old childhood had dead time. Dead time is where social skill grows. You have to find someone, you have to agree on a game, you have to deal with the kid who cheats, you have to come home when the light changes. The new childhood has programming, practice, pickup, homework, a screen if there is a gap. The calendar is full, and the child is still undertrained for ordinary human contact. That is why a teacher can look at a room of elementary kids and feel like something basic is missing. It is not manners in the old-fashioned sense. It is reps. They have not had enough unstructured reps with other people. Then the screen finished the job that the schedule started. A device is not evil, it is a replacement. It replaces boredom, wandering, argument, and the slow work of being with somebody in the same room. Kids now can spend more hours a day on recreational screens than they spend in free outdoor play. That is not a side habit. That is the new childhood. Face-to-face life is where you learn tiny signals. A smirk, a pause, a friend who is done with the game, a kid who is about to cry. You cannot download that. You get it by being there. A well-known UCLA study made the point in a simple way. Sixth graders who spent 5 days at a nature camp with no screens got better at reading emotions. The kids who kept their usual devices did not improve the same way. Take away the screen and put people in front of them, and the skill comes back. That should tell us what the screen was crowding out. Teachers keep saying the same things. Kids have a harder time holding a conversation. They wait for an adult to mediate. They miss sarcasm, they miss tone, they can be fluent in a comment section and clumsy at a lunch table. Some research is mixed. Childhood is not only screens, but the direction is hard to ignore. When in-person practice drops, social fluency drops. Elementary school is supposed to be the years you get good at other people. Instead, a lot of kids are getting good at stimulation. Modern parents did not wake up and decide to raise disconnected kids. They were trying to raise safer, kinder, more emotionally aware kids. They kept them closer because the news made the world look like a crime scene. They scheduled them because an empty afternoon started to look like neglect. They handed them a tablet because it was quiet, educational, and easier than a fight. They talked about feelings because they remembered not being heard. Those are understandable choices. They still have a bill. If you remove risk, you also remove the practice of judging risk. If you remove boredom, you remove invention. If you remove unsupervised conflict, you remove the chance to repair a relationship without a referee. If you remove silence, you remove the ability to sit with yourself. Generation X was not better because their parents were saints. In a lot of cases, their parents were busy, tired, or gone. The gift was accidental. The empty hours forced competence. Later generations tried to replace that accident with intention. More love, more language, more supervision. The missing piece was trust in the child's ability to handle a little life without a grown-up in the shot. The downhill is not that parents care less. It is that they manage more, and management is a poor substitute for practice. A child who is constantly helped does not learn they can do it. A child who is constantly entertained does not learn they can generate their own world. A child who is constantly connected does not learn how to walk up to a person and start. Practice makes the child. Management makes the schedule. Choose practice. Generation X did not invent independence. They just lived the last common version of it. They were left alone long enough to learn how to be with other people. That sounds backward until you watch what happens when children are never left alone. You cannot learn social life from a parent's elbow. You learn it from other kids in time nobody owns. That is why this generation still looks to a lot of us like the most stable and the most practically smart. They could enter a room, read it, and function. They could work without applause. They could solve a problem without a meeting. They could tolerate discomfort without calling it an emergency. The kids who came after have things Gen X never had. Better language for pain, more awareness of mental health, more information than any children in history. Those are real advantages. What too many of them do not have is the daily, unscripted practice of being a person among other persons. No phone, no adult script, no activity director. The question is not whether we can go back to 1985. We cannot. The question is whether we will keep removing the conditions that grow capable children and then act surprised when capability does not show up. If we want elementary kids who can engage again, they need what Gen X had in the raw: time, other kids, a little danger, a little boredom, and an adult who is not standing in the middle of every hour. Generation X proved that if you leave children alone long enough, they do not just survive. They learn how to belong to each other. That was the real inheritance, and that is what we have been spending down.
Engagement, connection, smile. to stay happy, folks.